Live. Today, hey, I have to look at my watch. It's the 25th of August, 2021. We are live coming to you from Traffic Services, and we are talking with Sergeant Warren Stein, not Sergeant Kraft. I only made that mistake once, but then I called somebody else by a totally different name. So, we're keeping it interesting.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. So we are doing something a little different. We are simulcasting the audio from this discussion over to TikTok. So I've got a TikTok window open on VoiceOver Cop, and if anyone wants to be, or anyone there is watching, they'll see us. But we're going to be doing, I'm sitting on a cable, it's driving me crazy. Okay, we're talking about a couple of things. We're talking about some of our common questions that we get on TikTok to get a little further discussion on those. And we're talking about all things traffic safety, and we're going to talk about let's see here. We're going to talk about whatever comes in our chat room, because that's live and open. So if you're watching, come say hello. You can drop in and ask a question, and we will answer those questions, because Sergeant Warren Stein is a training sergeant. He is in charge of the training of traffic services, and is knower of many things. Knower of many things indeed. Now, in terms of what's going on here, this looks weird. Okay, in terms of some business beforehand, I'm going to talk about Vision Zero Enforcement Team. And actually, there's an additional thing to talk about with the Vision Zero Enforcement Team, and that's an award that they just got. But let's start. Hey, Sergeant Kraft, he's here. Let's go here and start with the business. Vision Zero Enforcement Team is going to be in 12, or they're probably already there, 12 and 41 division today. Now, if you don't know what Vision Zero Enforcement Team, I'm going to play a video for you, and that video, well, that's just going to explain it all. Is it going to work? No, it's not going to work. Can I press a button? Okay. Did I say I was going to play a video? I'm not going to play a video. I tried to set it up. It didn't work. Okay. Vision Zero Enforcement Team is a dedicated group of officers that are trying to change behavior, the behavior of drivers on our roads. They're trying to make it safer. They want to reduce serious injury and death. And how are they doing that? They're doing it by going after drivers who violate the big four. That's speeding, aggressive, distracted, or impaired drivers. And those are the behaviors that people are choosing to take part in that lead to serious injury and death on our roadways. So they're doing a great job. They just received an award from the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police, and that is the 2021 National Police Award for Traffic Safety. It's a big honor. They got it. We have a great video that's on all our platforms, including the Traffic Services TikTok. It's on our Twitter. Check it out. It's the video that I was going to play for you that didn't work when I pressed play. So with that out of the way, I even had a banner I didn't press for Big Four. Look at that. With that out of the way, Sergeant Warren Stein, how's it going?
It's going great. Yeah, we're nice and busy here. So congrats to all the members of the Vision Zero team. It's not only included the Vision Zero team, but all the behind the scene players who were involved in the operational plan, creating the team, and a big part goes to our analytics and innovation unit, which they pull all the numbers, they do all the research, they look at all the statistics where crashes are happening, and come up with the best locations where our officers need to be, so that we don't waste a lot of time around the city, and we can put them in the right place, and we can get the biggest bang for the buck from them.
It really is, and it's not to say that they're not doing amazing work already in the divisions. This is just doing more. They're just helping out and adding to, and they really are good at what they do, and they have some great tools to do their work. They're in unmarked vehicles, marked vehicles, and they're out all the time. Very good at what they do.
They are. So every vehicle that they have mobile radar units in it. They have their handheld radio units, and they've got a mix of pickup trucks, SUVs. They just got a couple new Dodge Chargers, and you won't know they're behind you until you see those flashing lights. So that's part of the secrecy behind it. But really, they're not a secret unit or anything. It's just you really have to be driving properly at all times, and you just don't want them coming up behind you.
Now I've had two situations where I have pulled up and was like, "Oh, there's a car that just came out of the. Why would they pull out of that driveway like that? That is not because they were going after somebody." And yesterday, I happened to be driving down. I saw a pickup truck pulled over on the highway, and I'm like, "Oh, I should pull over, slow down, and see if anyone needs help." They don't need help. That's a police officer. I knew exactly who it was. Hey, I just made something work. Hang on a second here. I can actually grab downloads. There we go. I made it happen. We're gonna make this video happen. Let's try this. I want to make that happen in actually full screen. Here we go. The Vision Zero Enforcement Team. The Toronto Police Service and the City of Toronto are committed to the city's Vision Zero road safety plan, aimed at reducing the number of killed and seriously injured. Are you guys getting audio? On the roadways of Toronto.
Yeah, we are. Just echoing.
In January 2020, the Toronto Police Service commenced a pilot initiative named the Vision Zero Enforcement Team. Members focus on the big four driving offenses: speeding, distracted driving, aggressive driving, and impaired driving. By the end of 2020, the VZET team had written a total of 42,372 provincial offense notices, of which 32,643 were for speeding, 964 were for distracted driving, and 2,631 were for aggressive driving offenses.
Vision Zero is about addressing the big four: speeding, distracted driving, aggressive driving, and impaired driving. It's phenomenal work. It's such important work because it saves lives.
Strong community partnerships with road safety advocates have allowed the TPS to develop key educational messages around road safety. Members on the team are actively engaged in addressing community complaints and concerns through in-person meetings and various social media platforms.
The Vision Zero Enforcement Team is deployed
for a second. So we're on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch.
Vision Zero is all about,
and we're actually on our web show, and I just threw his camera on so you can see a little behind the scenes from that show. Sadly, I can't really talk to you guys here when we're live, but I'll come back here if you're sticking around. And policing is all about partnerships. Through the common thread of Vision Zero, community and corporate partnerships help support road safety initiatives and reduce killed and seriously injured collisions on the streets of Toronto. Cool. So let me fix this again. Hang on. There we go. No, that's not working. Hey, there we go. Hey, we're on different sides. How'd that happen? So that I made it happen. I had to mess around with it, but that's the cool video that went out. I was really happy with the way it turned out, and yeah, they do amazing work. So let's go into the chat because we've got lots of chat going on. Big Jeff Fresh is there. Jason Kraft, who's in the chat, may have starred in that video. He may have been the laser speed measurement device holding officer in the beginning. Play it again. I think it's a one-time done, but you can play it all day long on our other platforms. It's on YouTube, it's on Twitter. Yeah, we want to get those counts up. Sergeant Kraft was here yesterday, and he brought in a question about towing. Do you have a question today to kick us off? I'll actually look also at those that are watching on TikTok right now on VoiceOver Cop, and I also take questions from there if you want to throw them this way. Okay, we're just all jokes. There might be a delay also. So there was a question of where do horses stay for the mounted police? It's a very trafficy question. They stay in the stables. So at the exhibition place, there is a police facility stable for the mounted unit. Now, do they still have? They don't have those northern stables anymore, do they? Do you know?
No, they don't. No, it's the only one on Manitoba Drive there.
Right, because the other one, I think there was a fire. They used to exercise them at another location, but it is no more. What class of licensing can have a blood alcohol count? How much can is it? So this is the question. Yeah. Who can it?
Okay, so it's easy enough. Obviously, graduated licensing. So if you're G1, G2, M1, M2, it is 0. You cannot have anything. So when you get to a G license or an M license, as long as you are under 50 milligrams of alcohol per 100 mils of blood, you can operate a motor vehicle. However, it doesn't mean you're not impaired. So there's a big difference between the legal limit of alcohol in your blood and impairment. Some people can tolerate a lot more alcohol in their blood and be okay, but they breach the 80 milligram mark and they can get charged criminally. Some other people at 25, 30 milligrams, they're impaired and should not be operating a motor vehicle.
And you can be
So-
impaired. You can be impaired without reaching that, because impairment. They've said that any amount of alcohol, any impairment is impairment. So
Right.
just because you're under the legal or the limit doesn't mean that you're truly not impaired.
Right. And don't forget young drivers too, right? So anyone under the age of 22, regardless of what class license you have, so even if you have a full class G license, you cannot have any alcohol in your blood. So there's they implemented those changes back in 2018, and it's a great thing. You should not, quite frankly, shouldn't be driving with any alcohol in your system.
Or drugs, for that
Or
matter.
drugs.
And the drugs is now that it's legal to consume, marijuana, then it still counts as impaired driving. In drugs, even medical or what is it called? Prescription medication may cause impairment. So it's a big deal. We had 20 people arrested last weekend for impaired driving. 2 of them were impaired by drug. 1 was 3 times over the limit, and 3 were G1 drivers. So people that should not be having any alcohol or impairment when operating a motor vehicle, and they were driving unaccompanied and over the limit. So a combo there. Jason Kraft asks, this is the question: do you need to wear a helmet when in a slingshot 3-wheeled vehicle?
Yes, you do. A motorcycle helmet, not just a bicycle helmet.
Yes.
So it has to be a full motorcycle helmet. It is essentially, it's a 3-wheel motorcycle with 2 wheels in the front, 1 wheel at the back. It's I would equate it very similar to those Spider type motorcycles. Yes, obviously there's not a lot of lean or anything that go on with it, but they are I'd say more a sports style motor vehicle, and you do have to wear a helmet inside.
I as a rider, and Sergeant Stein is also a rider, I don't get the appeal of not leaning. I mean, it's a convertible without doors, but I don't get the idea. If it doesn't lean, I don't know why I'm on it. So I've yet to, maybe there's a huge thrill, I've yet to test drive one. I sat on one at a show because they were being proposed as police vehicles, and it's interesting. It's very big. It's not at all what I thought it was.
Yeah, no, I can see. I mean, I know some people who ride trikes, like they got a Harley trike, and vice versa. The Spider's got the 2 wheels in the front, so for stability. So there are people out there that do have balance issues or some medical issues that don't allow them, or they just can't ride a motorcycle, but want that same feeling, being open, wind blowing in their hair, all those type of things. Absolutely, it's a great way to get out and explore. I did see one of the question that it does have to be the helmet. The motorcycle helmet has to be certified to be used in Canada. So DOT or Snell or
Without GoPros on it, because that's a whole other question.
yeah.
Now, there was a follow-up question saying, does the type of motorcycle helmet matter on a slingshot? So you just covered it, and that has to be a legal helmet for Canada, that it has to be approved by any one of the many, many different bodies that certify helmets.
Yeah, I mean, open face, modular, full face, whatever it is, as long as it's certified to be used in Canada and it's going to protect your head, that's
And it's different for different provinces, because if you go to Quebec, I believe it's not considered a motorcycle there. I think you can drive without a helmet in a Spider or situation specifically. It depends on the province. You need to know the rules. We speak directly to Ontario rules.
yeah.
So,
I don't know the rules for the other province with regards to that. Yeah.
There's a lot of rules and to remember just for Ontario. So trying to remember the nuances and differences between the jurisdictions is nearly impossible.
Right, because a lot of these enter our legislation as pilot projects. So different provinces have slightly different rules and regulations when they implement these pilots, and then when they go from the pilot to the full time, they do finalize some of those regulations.
We had a comment from Jason again, asking about attaching GoPros to helmets, asking for a friend. Here we go. The reason he says here we go is because it really bothered people when we talked about this. We did a TikTok video a while back about putting a camera on a helmet and whether or not it's legal. The answer is it's not legal, but people were very upset about the concept because there is. there are rules that you can't change the helmet from the way it was designed. When you affix things to the outside of the helmet, it changes the dynamics of how it'll act in a collision, how it will survive that collision, how it will drag or slide across the ground if you're thrown from a motorcycle. And it does make changes, so there is case law, and it's not legal. But very unhappy people about that answer.
No, and I get it. People want to film themselves on their motorcycles for social media. Maybe it's there just like any dash cam that you have in a car, that there are incidents that happen out there that you want video evidence for. But it does. It certainly changes the way that it was that it's going to react once that helmet hits the asphalt or sidewalk or anything else. It is going to create a lot more drag, which means more injury, and that's all. The rules of the road are there to protect and to create a safe environment for everyone. It's not because we're just don't want you to wear a GoPro helmet. I mean,
we're the fun police. We don't want
Yeah.
anyone to enjoy themselves. No, it is about safety, and safety often means doing things that are less fun. My suggestion is always use a chest pack, mount it to the motorcycle. Q, I just made a really good suggestion. Use a 360 camera. I've seen tremendous video from those where in post, after it's recorded, you can spin around and using an app and see anywhere. So really, that's going to be giving you the best evidence. The argument that you have to be able to see where you're looking, no longer valid. A 360 camera would cover that very nicely.
Yeah, for sure.
Unless you put it on your chest, then it would be your chest and then what's in front of you. But
Just like our officers have body-worn camera, right? It's single forward-facing. Yes, it doesn't give you every perspective, but better than nothing.
Now, Sean Chen had a great question that's just about to pop out of the bottom of the screen. Are there certified helmets? I just threw it up on screen. Are there certified helmets that have integrated cameras? I've never seen one, but people in comments in our chats have said that there are cameras that have or helmets that have cameras built in, and then you just put a memory card and you charge it as one piece. If you find one that meets the minimum requirements for road use and it has a camera inside, that would be permitted. So that's a great question, Sean. Thanks for asking it. Now there's a whole bunch of stuff that's come in here, but there was a question about your accent. They want to know what accent. I don't know. Do you have an accent?
Do I have an accent?
I don't know.
I have an accent. Yeah. No, I was not born in Canada, so I do have a slight accent. So I was born in South Africa and moved here when I was 16. So yes, it comes out occasionally, and if I am speaking to other South Africans who have an accent, it gets much stronger.
It is amplified.
Very much so.
It's funny. You've been on the show a number of times. First person to ever ask that.
Yeah. Well, some people hear it. Some people have an ear for accents. Other people just don't get it. Some are really good at picking it out.
Oh, apparently it was Emma. So Emma is one of our moderators, so she pays attention to all the details.
Very close. Yeah.
And just we've got a bunch of people. We've got a hello from Minnesota. We've got a hello from California, Boston, Massachusetts. Hello to you. Let's see here. I guess we have accents compared to everyone there. Now, let's see here. Scrolling through because we got lots of folks watching. Okay. Let's go back to the chat here. Here we go. How often do traffic officers get redirected to other calls? Is it common to pull them away from traffic duties? So I guess this is where it is to assist divisions in non-traffic related calls.
Well, everything we do in policing is prioritized, right? So we have every call has a certain priority level. It goes from 1 to 8, and depending on what the call is, the dispatch or our communications officers assign it a particular priority number. So a personal injury collision usually is a 1 or number 2, and then a property damage collision. Once again, all depends where it is. It typically sits between a 4 and an 8. So could you be called away from a property damage collision to a stabbing? Sure. Depends where you are. But traffic officers typically have that's a designated function, right? They drive around, they do traffic enforcement, they do collision investigations. That is their primary role on the road. Whereas the divisional officers that are, let's say, in 52, 53, 41 division, their primary role is dealing with all the other radio calls that come into that division, domestics, disputes, noise complaints. Sometimes depends on what it involves. Oftentimes, noise complaints are now diverted to the city, but it could be something that officers are called to. But once again, every call has a priority number.
Absolutely. When I was on the road as a PRU officer with traffic, I was 12 division before I came to traffic. But when I came to traffic, I was on a platoon. If I was driving around, and there was nothing going on, I would absolutely jump on anything in my area because I can help. Whether it be just to be an extra set of hands during an arrest, just to for officer safety. Sometimes it was jumping onto somebody else's traffic call. Like we want to be involved. We want to be useful. We want to stay busy. So yeah, whenever we need it, I voluntarily did. It wasn't even a situation of waiting to be called or diverted.
Yeah, and our offices are citywide, so they will be sent to any part of the city. And oftentimes, I mean, we work cooperatively with the division. So you may be attending a gun call while the other divisional units are heading on their way there. And once they get there, they may take over from you, and you go do your traffic-related calls. So absolutely, officers switch over to the bands that they're driving around in, and if they can help, they certainly will.
Yeah, we're all one big team. We're all qualified as police officers before we become traffic officers. So it's a natural gig to jump in and do it. It keeps the night moving. No one wants to sit on their hands all night,
Right.
or day. But,
Yes.
but generally speaking, we are quite busy, and when we're not assigned to a call, we are jumping on to enforcement opportunities and activities and such. There's lots to be done. Now, we'll come back to chat in a second. We've got stuff that's coming up. We have school coming up soon. We're working on a campaign for back to school safety, and we had. As we plan this every year, we always come back to the same basic things. We talk about speed, being aware of our surroundings, how this particular back to school session might look a little different for people, similarly to how it was last year, where it's a little less volume. Some people are still staying home, so different streets might have volume because people still get out and get fresh air. But we want everyone to be aware of the fact that school is coming again. So the back to school campaign is coming up soon. So be on the lookout for that. Any messages for back to school that you would give preview early access to?
Well, yeah, it's the same. Like you say, we tend to do the same thing every year because, quite frankly, those are the same issues that keep coming up every year. So the messaging to drivers out there is, yeah, there's going to be a lot more kids on the way to and from school. So slow down, especially in those school zones. Don't forget that when you dropping off or picking up kids from school, do not park illegally. You create these visual obstructions where you don't want kids running in between cars and crossing the street. You want to be able to see them. So our parking enforcement unit is going to be out there in full force, right in those school zones, taking care of those motorists who think they can park anywhere. And speed is always the number one determining factor in the severity of injury in any collision. So drop your speeds. That's why most school zones are now 30s and 40s. Automated speed enforcement are put in those community safety zones right in and around schools for a reason. Let's just be cooperative drivers, defensive drivers, drop the speed. You'll get to where you're going in time, and just watch for the most vulnerable users of the road, those pedestrians.
Oh yeah, and there's so many of these people who are going to be riding bicycle to school. There's a lot of people who have been at home for a long time, coming out to drive for the first time as well. Like we've got people who are at different levels of activity and proficiency. Someone's being paged. The deal is that we want to be cautious. We get the cobwebs out, so take it slow. But we get all sorts of questions. We get questions about the yield and how to treat school buses, which we haven't been dealing with for a couple of years. Can we do a refresher on what the rules are with school buses?
Yeah. school bus, when it comes to a stop, it'll put out its stop arm. It'll have its flashing red lights at the front and back, and you shall not pass them, either approaching or from behind. The school buses stop and the kids get off and they cross in front of the bus. The purpose for stopping in both directions is so that kids who need to get to the other side of the road can do so safely. It creates supposed to create a very safe zone for them to do that. So motorists need to stop. Now, the only exception is when that's a divided highway. So there's a solid
Right.
median in between. That is the only reason that you will not need to stop. Doesn't matter how big the road is. There are some roads in Scarborough that there are 7 lanes wide, and if a school bus stops in the curb lane, every other lane needs to stop and not pass it. Doesn't make a difference how far away you are from it. It's the law is the law, and as long as it's an undivided highway, you need to stop.
Yeah, and it's important. I mean, the people are making assumptions based on the fact that you're going to follow the rules. So then someone takes their life in their hands. They're going to walk because they believe it's safe because people are doing what they're supposed to be doing, and then one person chooses not to, and we have tragedy. We had some questions last week on TikTok about school buses and what happens if they only have their hazards on. It caused a lot of confusion. It's only when the stop sign is flipped out and is flashing. It's not just when the roof lights are going. It's not just when the hazards are going.
Right. I mean, there's a lot that we have to prove in court to convict on a school bus offense. So we have to prove it's a school bus. You have to prove that the lights are working and that the stop on sign was out. You also have to be very certain that the vehicle was stopped. So we've all seen it where a school bus will be coming to a stop. It'll put on its lights. It'll put out its sign. That's the amber light, right? Do you go through the amber light, or do you? Once that school bus is stopped, no one shall pass it. And
Thou shall not
thou
pass.
shall not, and that's you've. There's no ifs, ands, or buts around it, and they've determined that it's a very serious offense and put a hefty fine and hefty points. So and rightfully so. Like I said, we've said this earlier, and we'll say it again. These laws are designed to save lives and keep people safe, and that's what they need to do.
Yes, absolutely. And it always seems to be a confusion where there shouldn't be any confusion. So when in doubt, stop. Now, we have a question that came in from viewers on TikTok right now, and they said, what is the seatbelt law for delivery drivers? Are they allowed to drive without them, with them?
Well, they with conditions, right? So if they are doing multiple stops in a very short period or distance, they do not have to put on their seatbelt, but provided they stay under 40 kilometers an hour. So it's got to be very low speed travel, stop and go, stop and go, stop and go. So the second they're going to be traveling some distance and getting above 40 kilometers an hour, it's the safety of that driver. Put the seatbelt on.
And you know, it's one of those things where even if it's not the law, I'm going to do it. I learned very early on in my career as a traffic officer that I would leave my seatbelt on even if I'm pulled over dealing with a traffic stop. If I'm in the car, I want the seatbelt on because people hit stopped cars, especially on highway and major routes. So you could end up in a collision even if your engine is turned off. So it's okay. So yeah. So he's muted. Okay. So the deal is that I would leave it on all the time, and it was the safest thing to do. It was a suggestion because I didn't always do that. It was brought to my attention. It was suggested to me, and I took it very seriously. So now I don't sit in a car without my seatbelt unless I'm in a parking lot. Different situation. But there you go. Let's see here. I can't say that. Okay.
Can't read that one.
No. Okay. Moving on. Ashton Stein loves your last name. I don't know why.
Great last name.
Okay. Let's see here. Oh, here's a good question, and it's something that we get a lot actually. If someone has proof of a traffic offense, i.e., dash cam footage with a license plate captured, do you guys take action on it? And that's I'll let you take it because that's a good question.
So we have a number of methods for people to lodge driving complaints, because everyone's out there. Everyone would love to be a cop and pull the car over and give the ticket to the driver that just committed that offense. So we have some online reporting features. One is a traffic complaint, which is if you have a specific vehicle that committed a specific offense, you can actually go online and submit that complaint, and that's where that dash cam video would be excellent. You wouldn't submit it right away. You would actually wait for once that occurrence has been assigned, you'll get a notification and you'll be able to email that file to the person who's assigned that case. Now, one of the key things that we have to really look at when we're looking at charging someone for offense is we have to be able to identify the driver. So unless that dash cam footage or the person who got that dash cam footage can identify the driver of the vehicle, we can't lay a charge. So we cannot lay a charge unless we know the driver. What we do in a lot of circumstances is we will send formal letters to the registered owner of that vehicle saying, hey, your vehicle was involved in a blue or red light on such and such a day. You've got to make sure that whoever's operating that vehicle does so safely. So we're kind of limited by the laws in terms of proving something in court. Right now, we are looking at expanding or looking at if the Ministry of Transportation will entertain further owner liability offenses, and if so, we would like the owner of the vehicle to be able to identify the driver so that we could charge the driver. That's currently not in the laws or not in the books as of right now, and we're looking to expand that.
But it is something where if you are, let's say you're a parent, you give your car to your child, the child decides to do things that are not legal in that car, this is a great way for the information to get back to mom and dad. And even if there is no ticket generated because we don't have sufficient information, the letter to the owner or contact with the owner may change future behavior. Because funny how things happen if mom and dad realize that someone's doing something in their car that may result in increases to their insurance. There's going to be something going on, self-correcting sometimes.
Yes, absolutely. And it takes a bit of time for those reports to get assigned and for the officer who has been assigned it to do something with those reports. So it could be 2-3 weeks until you get a response from your online complaint. But the reason we ask people to put it online is that it is trackable, and we can look it up in the future and see who it was assigned to and what actions we're taking, because all of that information is kept within that occurrence. So that's why we always encourage people to do it online, so that we can always reference it later on, and we can see if we've got the same vehicle committing multiple offenses over a period of time, and we can look at different ways to address that.
It is a great tool, though, and there's other things. I had that up on screen for a moment. The website that you can use, the core, but there's other things you can do on there. You can report all sorts of things: traffic complaints, community complaints. If there's just a location that's having difficulty, and all of these are legitimate complaints, and they are turned into real reports that are actions. So it's a great tool. And once again, I'll throw it back on there in case anybody wants to write it down. There we go. TorontoPolice.on.ca/core. It's the Citizen Online Report entry. You can even file minor, follow-ups, parking enforcement issues, and they all have different priorities to do. But it's a great tool instead of sitting online or on the telephone line waiting on hold to get through to somebody. So very cool. We talk about e-bikes a lot. VZET. We did. No, Q just asking. Q's in the background helping us out. Wants to know if we talked about Vision Zero enforcement team. We did. We played a video. But if there's something else you want us to talk about Vision Zero, we can talk about Vision Zero all day long. Vision Zero does cool stuff. And you know, it's funny. They may have gotten some cool toys recently that we've not openly talked about. And
I think I mentioned it earlier.
Did you mention it? Oh, well, we didn't really talk about it, but it's funny because it happened, and just like the chief said it would happen naturally. And I started getting comments on Instagram. I started getting comments on TikTok. Hey, did the Toronto Police get chargers? So I haven't officially put any pictures out, but they may have some pretty cool cars that sound and look nice and fancy.
Yes.
In any case, Is there? I want to see if there's anything that's popped into. Oh, Joyce says that Evil Knievel wannabes aren't popular, or they aren't as popular as they were back in her day. Especially with more advanced technology these days, bikes are way faster. If you have any issues with young motorcycles wanting to prove themselves as stunt driver, yeah, I don't know. There's been talk about changing the name from stunt driver to which almost seems to glorify it, even though it is not a good deal. It is not something anyone should aspire to be to qualify for stunt driving as a driver today. We could talk about briefly the changes to the stunt driving legislation, the MOMS Act, because we've had some changes that took place July 1st, 2021, and now the qualifications to become a stunt driver have lowered. And of course, we mean a violator, someone who is exceeding the speed limit or taking place in a number of different activities which would trigger the stunt driving laws, which come with really significant consequences. But the biggest change has been the fact that you no longer need to travel 50 kilometers over the posted speed limit. In certain conditions, you can travel 40 kilometers over the speed limit.
Right, and that's going to be in anything under 80 kilometers an hour. So on your surface streets, anything in excess of 40 kilometers an hour, you're going to be charged with stunt driving, and you're going to lose your vehicle for 14 days. And I would say early to mid-September, they're looking at upping the immediate roadside suspension from 7 days to 30 days. So those things have significant implications, never mind being charged with stunt driving.
Yeah.
So regardless of what happens, if you think you're smart and you can get off it in court, so be it. What happens in court is not necessarily, we have no control as police service what happens in court. Our job is to stop offenders and put them before the courts. That 30-day suspension, right now it's a 7-day, it'll be a 30-day suspension, goes in your driver's license. Your insurance company finds out about any suspension that you get. It is going to impact you in the future. Regardless of what happens, you will have that official record that you were stopped for stunt driving and your driver's license was taken away. Same thing happens with an impaired driver. You get that 90-day ADLS, administrative driver's license suspension, and the insurance companies know exactly what happened, what you did, and you end up paying for that for a significant amount of time.
Yeah, there's been lots of discussion as to why is it so strict? Why are they doing this? What about innocent until proven guilty? And we've had lots of discussions online and comment sections about this because people don't think it's right that they should be taking heavy hit consequences roadside. But the truth is that if you don't do it this way, people are utilizing money money that they have or access to legal assistance to potentially get away with doing things that they shouldn't be doing.
And that's always the case, right? So we see it in all different types of offenses and who gets charged and who gets convicted. And so like we say, what happens in court, we cannot control at all. And the Ministry of Transportation can't control that either. It's a totally different wing of the provincial government, and they cannot influence or play any part in the court system because it is a judicial system that you have your right to go and plead not guilty and put a case before the courts. On the other side, we need to deter this type of behavior right at the beginning. We talk about different forms of punishment or ways to educate your children when they behave badly. And this is one thing to say, well, this is how we educate drivers who behave badly.
Mm-hmm.
If we do it much closer to the time of the offense, it is known to have a bigger impact. And this is what the ministry wants to do with a lot more front-end loaded penalties. I've said it before, and I'll keep saying I wouldn't be surprised if this same front-end loaded regime or whatever gets put in place for distracted driving, because quite frankly we see far too many distracted drivers still on the road. It becomes part of our appendage, the extension of our hands being in the car. Maybe this is what has to happen. Maybe there has to be immediate roadside sanctions and immediate vehicle impoundment for us to have a bigger impact on this.
Certainly. Because right now, if someone gets caught, it's still until there's a court date. People are waiting possibly for over a year to get to court because of the current situation, and they don't feel that instant consequence that may dissuade them from changing their behavior. Because that's really what this is all about. Tickets are to change behavior, to keep people safer. So if it's not working because of the delay, and if you get spanked in court a year later, does it really correlate? Does they meet in the middle? Do you put two and two together? I mean, you appreciate it, but it doesn't necessarily do the work it was intended to do. So, and there are suspensions involving handheld communication device right now.
Right, post conviction, absolutely. So you're going to get your if you do get convicted of a cell phone offense, they will suspend your license. You do have to pay that hefty fine, and you will get points added to your demerit system.
Which is a whole separate situation. There's some misunderstanding. Many people think we start with a number of demerit points. You add to them. Who implements them? How do you deal with it? That's a whole other ball of wax. But you basically, and it's different for novice drivers or learning drivers as to what triggers what. Should we talk about that? And also, I just wanted to mention Benjamin Davudi says TSV is a certain division, our TSV, but we don't have the rest of your question or your statement, so maybe you can clarify what you're asking us, because we'd love to answer you. But we're going into demerit points. We do, in fact, start with 0. 0 is the best place to be for demerit points, and we grow based on the offenses that we accumulate or don't accumulate, hopefully, over time. And do you know the threshold for the first action?
Well, it depends on what class license you are, right? So your novice and graduated licenses have a much lower threshold as to when. Really, it's intervention. When is someone's driving behavior? The ministry looks at it. When do we need to call them in and say, "Hey, what's going on? You're driving." I was going to use a different term, but you're a bad driver. You're a really bad driver.
Your skills are suboptimal.
Yeah. So come on in. This is a warning. Guess what happens when you accumulate more? And we will eventually. You will require driver training. We will suspend your license for accumulating demerit points. And like you're saying, different offenses have different numbers associated with them, and they're all moving violations. So all your document offenses, all your equipment violations. There are no demerit points associated with them. It's once you move into your moving violations that you start having a certain number of demerit points. For example, careless driving is 6 demerit points, whereas speeding is one of those.
Depends.
Yeah. So from 0 to 15, there's no demerit points associated with those with that speed. However, the minute you get to 16 to 19, or to 29, you're 3. And then 4, and it goes up, and you can just keep accumulating points.
You know, it's funny just to touch on this whole 15, 16 business, points, no points. There is a common belief that if you get no points on your ticket, that it's not going to affect your insurance, and that insurance really cares about the details. I put a video out on TikTok, and I said they do care. They care because you got a ticket. It doesn't matter how many, for their purposes, insurance, they don't really care how many demerit points you have. They care how many tickets you have. And then we go from there. But the deal is that when you get any ticket, you're going to be affecting your insurance.
Right, and it's the insurance company are assuming that if they see the line of speeding on your driver's abstract, that you that was a reduced speed. So if you got this speeding that's under 15, they probably assume it got reduced from something that was above 15.
There you go.
It's they know what happens in court, and they've adjusted the way that they look at these convictions on your record, and apply the appropriate level of risk to your driving.
At the end of the day, it's all about a pattern of behavior. They see that you have tickets that are continuously going onto your record, regardless of the speed. You just are identifying yourself as a higher risk person. Higher risk persons pay more for insurance, and that's the deal. Now, we've been talking for longer than we normally talk. So I'm going to shut down the chat. I want to give people an opportunity to get some information as to how they can follow us if they're not already following us there. So first off, Traffic Services on Twitter. You can get us there all the time. We post information like where the Vision Zero enforcement team will be hanging out for the day. So that's at Traffic Services. On Instagram, it's Traffic Services Toronto, where we put pictures of what we eat for. No, we don't do that. We put up pictures and all sorts of educational content there, which often echoes what it's on Twitter, but you know what? Maybe you like the Instagram more. You can get us on Facebook. You can also get us here on YouTube, Traffic Services Toronto Police. And last but not least, and to some degree, the best place, because we have fun there, Traffic Services on TikTok. We go live Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. With a live Q&A stream. We have sometimes 500-600 people in the room, all asking questions. It's a fun place to be. So if you don't have TikTok, you should grab TikTok and you should join the community there. And that's the deal. That's where we are. That's where we hang out. Sarge, thanks again for joining us. We didn't do the whole Warren Wednesday introduction, but
No, it's not always Warren Wednesday. Sometimes I'm absent.
Sometimes you're absent. Something that Q wanted me to remind you of, Discord. Discord is a community, a BBS type server, if anyone knows what a bulletin board system is. It's a place that you can actually join a community. We have about 200 people that discuss traffic things. It's a very close community in the terms that it's all people who watch our show. So talking about and asking questions, and often because it's a community that's growing together, they're answering the questions for us. They know what's going on, so it's a good intersection of folks. You're welcome to join us there. That's the invitation link. And with that, we're going to sign off for today. We will be back tomorrow with Scott Marshall, the safe driver. He is a podcaster, TikToker, recently a TikToker, and a phenomenal one at that. He's also a blogger. He does it all. He is a professional driving instructor, a trainer of driving instructors, a great source of information and friend of the show. He will be with us tomorrow, and then we will no longer have Friday shows. We're cutting it down. We're changing it. We're going to do shows Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because we're changing our shift pattern and the way our office operates. So we're preparing for the future. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday will be the only shows going on here. So with that, have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks again, Sarge. Take care.